But we have a difficult time understanding one another. And that's what I want to focus on this morning, is using or allowing God's Spirit to fill us in such a way that we understand each other, people who may be different from you or from me. Think about times that you've talked to a good friend or a family member, somebody you were close to. And at the end of the conversation, you walked away and you just had the feeling that they just didn't get what you were trying to communicate. You didn't understand. They may have had a different point of view, but they weren't capable of understanding the deep emotional aspect of what you were trying to communicate. They heard the words, but they didn't understand you. Think about the other side. Think about listening to somebody that means something to you, and that person walking away going, they just didn't get it. They just didn't understand what I was trying to say. And think about how frustrating that is. Well, when we allow God's Spirit to fill us, a couple of things happen. One is, in that Spirit, there is, metaphorically speaking, a space within us that feels confident to be in touch with who we are. Many times when we have a difficult time communicating, it's because we're holding bits back. It's difficult to allow ourselves to be fully known by another person. We have to trust. We have to be in touch with and aware of and accepting of, to use a title of a recent movie, those dark shadows within ourselves. Not everything that we do that's altruistic is purely altruistic. We can't completely jump outside our skins. We have needs that are met. And so if we're talking to somebody and we want to be understood, we have to be aware of, in touch with, and okay with what our hidden agendas are, what our needs are. So we can speak about those and communicate with another person who we are. That only can happen when we're confident that we are okay, that we're confident that we are loved. The second aspect of hearing and understanding somebody else who's different from who we are is we have to, even though we can't completely get outside of our own skins, we have to take those hidden agendas, hidden desires, hidden motives, and at least put them to the side for just a moment so that we can truly listen to another person and hear what they have on their hearts. That's difficult to do because a lot of times out of fear, what happens is we're rehearsing what's in our minds almost before the other person finishes their statement. And when there's a disagreement, rather than trying to understand why would a person take this position that's so different from mine, why would someone that God created take a position that seems so foreign to what I think or I believe? No, what we try to do is to argue them into agreement. Now, we can argue people into submission. We can argue people into capitulation. We cannot argue in the best sense. We cannot even debate in the best sense matters of the heart. Those things that are emotionally charged, those subjects that mean the most to us. And we can take the whole gambit from family and all the issues that we see happening in the political scene today to foreign policy. The whole spectrum of human life in some ways touches us. And to listen to another person and find out what is their agenda. Why do they take the position that they do? That takes faith. It takes discipline. It takes the willingness for just a moment to put our own agenda aside. It doesn't mean that we give up our agenda. It doesn't mean that we don't have opinions. It doesn't mean that we just simply give up what we believe. But it means that we can remain calm and peaceful, even in the midst of what is potentially an adversarial situation. That's what it means to develop a mind like Christ. That's what it means to be filled with the Spirit of God. My daughter Tiffany lives in London. She has dual citizenship. And I'm going to do this in hopes that she never hears this sermon. So Jaime, don't send this to London, okay? But she'll, Dad, she speaks with a actually very good proper British accent. She's been there since 2004. Dad, and she works closely with the deaf community. She teaches at King's College, and she's working on a dissertation that includes working with the deaf. The deaf have an experience that's more than just using sign language. It's an experience that is radically different in the way you and I, who can hear, experience the world. So there are people all around us, people who have had life-changing events, people who experience the world differently, that behave in ways that are part of a culture, and that culture helps make them who they are. But many times we become frightened because we're seeing somebody that looks foreign. So, on this Pentecost Sunday, my hope is and my belief is that each of us will take in the Spirit of God as a sustainer, as the one who gives us a sense of freedom, a sense of life, a sense of comfort, a sense of an ability in the midst of a situation that can seem quite adversarial, and stand firm in our beliefs and care. If we go back 50 days and a little bit before that to Easter and to Holy Week, to Passion Week, we see a Jesus who was clear in his purpose, clear in his mission, but was willing to hear and understand. That is the God we worship. The God who creates all, the God who redeems us by dying and rising again, so that God the Sustainer can come and fill our lives, and we can truly listen with deep hearts to one another and speak the truth to our neighbors. Amen.